Good afternoon, fellow Plexers. This should be a quick video for my buddy Maher, who is moving from a Plex server on a Syno NAS to a self-built Unraid build. He's finishing his assembling today, and he should be booting into Unraid maybe tonight or tomorrow after work. So, I'm going to cover something I've covered in my playlist on how to mount a Synology shared folder. But first of all, I want to show you, we'll be moving the contents of this shared media folder on my older Synology DS 1019 Plus NAS. We'll be moving these library sort folders into a new media folder on my Unraid test machine, which only has a single rusty hard drive in it. It's just something to use for purposes like this. So, it all starts on the Synology NAS. You want to go and create a user and give it permissions to the media that you want to access, or the shared folder that you want to access in Unraid. So let's go into my older Synology NAS. I'm not going to show you how to create a shared user. That's pretty rudimentary. But I am going to show you that Maher or anybody else doing this will want to give permission to that user to have access to this folder, and if Plex is running in a Docker container, to the Docker shared folder, or if Plex is running as a package on a Synology NAS, to this shared folder. So your user will want permissions to all three of those folders, or all two of those folders, however you've got it set up. And that's pretty easy to do. So then in Unraid, well, actually, I don't think I have a cheat sheet going yet. Do I have a document open? Let me open up a text document. I'm going to use the same username that, what's this? This is some old file. The same username that I did for my video where I moved a Synology server to a Ugreen NAS. I still have that user enabled. So the user equals ugreen, which let's not let that username derail the train because a Ugreen NAS isn't involved here. And the password is, I got it written down here, so hopefully I get it right. So this is too short of a password to be secure for my likings, but after this video I'm going to get rid of that user. So that's what we'll use in Unraid to access the shared Synology folder. And you also need to know the local IP address of this Synology NAS. And that's the local IP address of my Synology NAS, which, did I close that down already? Wrong one, opened up on the wrong page. Okay, so to get your IP address, if you don't know it just off the top of your head, go into Control Panel, go into the Network applet, click Network Interface, and it's right here. So let's bring in my test Unraid server. My normal Unraid server is on a really fast 14th gen Asus NUC pointing back to my Synology NAS. So here's the dashboard. Here's the main tab, and what you have to make sure you install is go to Apps and search for unassigned devices. Pops right up for me, and you see it's installed here. So get that installed, and then you can go back to your main tab, the second tab, and here's my rusty small drive, a 1 terabyte drive. If I click into it here, you'll see I already have a shared media folder called Media PD. It's all my standard public domain media that I use on the test servers. So to start off, let's go to shares and let's create a new shared folder. So let's add a share. Maher's shared folder on the Synology NAS is media. I don't know if it's uppercase or lowercase, but I'm going to suggest his new shared folder in Unraid is just media lowercase. And actually, I don't do storage in Unraid. I use Unraid for a cache pool to point back to my Synology NAS. So I'm not an expert, but I believe allocation mark is high water, and that gets it, the drive almost filled before it starts moving data to the next drive. I don't know if I'd want to use fill up, but this is just the standard high water mark. So Unraid is named because it's not RAID, it's RAID-like, so Unraid. But it still has redundancy through 1 or 2 parity drives for your rusty data. So this is all I know about it, and it looks like you can include or exclude disk if you have a lot of disk in your system. So I'm just going to hit add share. So now if I go back to main and I click into this little square with the arrow, I'll see I have a new media folder that's empty. And it tells me when I created it. All right, from this point on, go back to main, and under the unassigned devices, we're going to drop down and we're going to click Add Remote SMB NFS Share. I'm running Windows, and this is Windows Unraid, so you'd think you'd pick the Linux app or icon, but you don't. You pick the Windows one. So that's highlighted, you hit Next. So I'm going to enter the IP address of the server, which is 192.168.68.116. And that's the Synology NAS IP address. Let me show both these on the screen, and I'll hit Next. And then I'm going to give it the ugreen username, which already has access to the folders I'm looking for, and I'll click Next. Now I'll paste in the password, and I'll do Next. Domain I'll just leave as is. I'll hit Next, and now I'll load shares. And so this is confusing. This is a shared folder on the DS1019 plus NAS for my hyper backup from the DS1520. So this is what it should be. So I'm going to pick this media folder, and then I'm going to click Done. Now it's not mounted, so I'll click Mount. And now it's mounted, so now I can go back to main at the top. Well, actually, I didn't have to do that. I can just click in here. And now I'm browsing media on that Synology NAS. So if I went into the movie library sort folder, I see everything. So from this point, I am going to simply move this TV library sort folder. Well, I went too far. It has a Plex library folder called TV-Anime, one called TV-Demo, TV DVR, TV-Kids, and TV-Main. So I want everything. So I'm just going to back up, and I'm going to right click and choose copy, not move. So then this opens. So I can go to disk 1, and I created that new shared media folder, media, and I've got the full path, and now I'll start copying media. So we see the speed picking up. It's 101, 105.57 megabits per second. Now it's at 108, 109. So wherever it peaks out at, let's just say it's 109. To make a comparison to a speed test result that we're all used to, you multiply that number by 8. So 109 times 8, and that's the equivalent to a speed test download coming in at 872 megabits per second. So sometimes people see this number and think, oh my gosh, that's slow. Well, it's really pretty fast. So the ETA is under a minute. And now if I go back to, don't need that one, to this file manager that's browsing this Unraid drive. Let's see, if I go back and I refresh this, well, I wonder if I missed a step where the user I have doesn't have permission. Let me start fresh and see what I see. All right, other locations. Unraid file sharing. Oh, wrong Unraid. That's my little NUC running a Docker host only of Unraid, and there's no files shared from that because it's just a Docker host install. All right, so I'm not seeing the new shared media folder, but that's a permission issue that I'm not going to try to diagnose now. Right from Unraid, let me go back to home. Into disk 1. Here's that media, a shared media folder, and here's all this info that I just copied in. So let me pause the video, see if I can get access, see why I don't have access. If I don't come back, this is the end of the video. I'm back, and I freely admit I'm not an Unraid expert, only very knowledgeable on using it like I do as a Docker host only to move Plex to a fantastic OS that points back at a NAS that might not have a great iGPU. So we're still in shares. Let me go back into the new media share that I created, and I neglected to drop down to the SMB security settings, and I think I just have to change export to yes. Let me apply those. Then let me go back into this shared media folder and see what I have. So I have the security set to secure, so I can probably do the same thing with this new shared media folder. Secure, apply. Now let's go back into this. Let's start fresh again. Let's just go to the trash, other locations. The Unraid 63.2 file sharing. Now it shows up. And now I have access. So copying it directly from NAS to NAS is a lot faster than trying to copy it through a local computer on the network. So let's do one more transfer. Let's transfer the larger movie library sort folder. So again, I'm going to drop down to the remote access, the unassigned devices access I've created. Click into browse. Now I'm on the Synology NAS, but through the Unraid interface. So I'm still in the media share. So I need to move this over. I'm going to right click, copy, pick disk 1, and pick media, and hit start. Now there's a big 82 or 87 gigabyte 4K movie that I use for testing. So that'll make this a longer transfer. Maher, with the amount of data he has, he's going to be looking at this all week. So make sure there's no thunderstorms going on where you might lose power. Pick a nice week weather-wise. That's what I did when I backed everything up from my newer Synology NAS to the older one to reconfigure from Synology Hybrid RAID to the Hybrid RAID 2 to get the 2-disk redundancy. I would not do any of this if bad weather is coming. So that's about it. Pretty easy, Maher. If you have any trouble, reach out. Happy Plexing.